So today I'm going to show you guys an item in the Elder Scrolls Online that is worth over 120 million gold right now. And that is an insane price for a single item, and especially for a single item that doesn't actually do anything. So whenever I heard the price of this one, I suspected it was going to be maybe the best in slot weapon, maybe a really strong piece of armor, something that's going to give you an advantage in PvP. But no, it's actually one of the most disgusting and ugly pieces of furnishing you could possibly discover and possibly have in your house. But because it's so rare, it is actually worth 120 million coins, unfortunately. So just to reveal what the item is, it's actually the Mushroom Polyp Stinkhorn. Okay, so you might have heard of this, you might not have. But essentially, this item is just like a half-bloomed mushroom. Looks really ugly, it's really small, it's insignificant, okay? You really wouldn't notice it if you had it in your house anyway. Unless you were specifically telling people this is what it is. But yeah, I was pretty shocked whenever I price checked the item and it was 120 million, and it was the only one available on any server. So obviously there's 6 servers, so PlayStation and Xbox on EU and NA, and then PC, NA and EU. So for this to be the only one listed across any of the servers is pretty significant. And yeah, the guy does pretty much get to pick the price that the item's worth. Just taking a quick second here out of the video, guys, to promote our new website. So Jclips and myself have come together to make a website basically called ESOhelper.com. There'll be a link to that in the description for you guys to click and check out. Essentially, it's going to be all guides written by myself and Jake, okay? No one else is going to be contributing to this website. It's just me and Jake, and all the information on here is going to come from us. So people you know, people you trust, people you like, people you watch, all going to have all of our information on this website. So we've got quite a lot of things on here. Like we have endless amounts of gold guides right here. We have updates on all the vendor rotations done by Jake. We have event guides. We're going to have monthly login rewards, things like that. And we have a character checklist. So anyone starting out the game who's not really sure what to do, you know, Jake's made a pretty detailed guide here on exactly what you guys need to be doing, all the way from level 1 to CP 160. And there's so much more on the website, guys, so give it a wee check out, okay? So the only reason anyone would really want to buy this is just to show off how much wealth they have, okay? So this is something that the wealthiest players in the game are going to want to buy. And that is kind of why, if you manage to farm it yourself or manage to drop it yourself, you can potentially ask for, again, 120 million or some ridiculous amount of money, to the point where you're never going to have to make gold again because you're going to have enough for whatever you want, all right? So I'm going to show you guys how you can actually try to farm this yourselves, all right? I just want you to keep in mind that there is a reason why this is so expensive and so rare. And the two theories are basically either ZeniMax have somehow inserted a bit of code that makes the drop rate not what it's supposed to be. You know, there's only one of them in the game because the drop rate is like a significantly high number. Instead of like 1 in 3,000, it might be 1 in 3 million, something like that. And it can also just be because no one's really doing this farming method because it's kind of a weird, out of the way one, and the game is like 10 years old, so people generally aren't doing this particular thing, okay? So just before we jump into the method, I'm going to show you guys some setup that's really going to help you out in doing this, right? So the long and short of it is we're going to be gathering alchemy nodes in Vardenfell, and this item can be dropped from basically any alchemy node in Vardenfell at any time. So in terms of setup, the first thing you want to do is get your Keen Eye passive into your alchemy skill tree. This is basically just going to make it so as all the alchemy nodes glow whenever you're up to around 40 meters away from them. Makes it really easy to see where they are. You can kind of just run around at whatever pace you can and just pick them all up, alright? Now you can obviously put Keen Eye into some of your other passes as well if you want to farm for other stuff while you're doing this. Personally, if I was doing this method, I would only be looking for alchemy nodes, so I would not put Keen Eye anywhere else, but that is completely up to you guys, okay? So we then want to come into our green champion point tree and slot all 75 points into Master Gatherer. What this will do is essentially give us a 50% reduction in the time it takes to actually pick up a node, which does add up over time, and we just want to be as efficient as possible, so definitely make sure you slot this one. So Plentiful Harvest, again, is a pretty good one to have. It gives you another 50% chance of getting double the resources, okay? Now, I think it's very unlikely you're going to get 2 of the furnishing, and I don't even know if this would ever affect getting 2 of the mushroom, but it's pretty good to have this in just in general, so you're getting double of the plants you're picking up. So if you're picking up like Columbine or whatever, they're worth 500 gold each anyway, so to get double of that is pretty good, so you might as well put the CP on. So something else you want to think about is our movement speed, alright? So I'm going to put 50 into Steed's Blessing, just so we have a 20% movement speed increase there. And I'm going to do a couple of other things here just to make us run a little faster so we can get more nodes per hour, okay? So the next item I'm going to be using then is going to be the Ring of the Wild Hunt. So it essentially gives us 15% movement speed while in combat, so even if something's hitting you, you're running faster, and then 45% while out of combat, which is going to be like 90% of the time, alright? We also want to use the Steed Mondays. It just gives us again that passive 11% movement speed, and you really don't have to do anything for it, it's just passive. And then we also want to use charge and maneuvers. Now this is up to you if you want to use this, just because like you do have to press an additional button and that can be taxing, but basically using this gives you an extra 45% movement speed as well, so pretty worthwhile having. So that is all of these set up for the method, okay, as everything kind of explained for you guys. So to actually farm this, all you want to do is just go anywhere in Vardenfell. Now, some people have speculated that going to Firemouth Island might be a really good idea because it's technically a starter zone, the nodes respawn a little bit faster, and generally you have better drop chances in starter zones. But essentially, I don't know if Cinemax have coded that island to be part of Vardenfell, if that makes sense. So that could have been its own little entity. It's really hard to gauge that, so I would just stick to mainland Vardenfell and not go there, in my opinion. So what I like to do is go to Senadine and just sort of roam around near water. So any little lakes, any little rivers, any little bits of water on the land, generally you're going to have some alchemy ingredients around there, and I'd just be farming those over and over again. And that's literally all you have to do. You just farm those. If you have a bit of spare time, if you're a little bit bored, or if you just really want to go for this item, just farm those and you may eventually get this mushroom. So it has been confirmed that this is kind of how it drops. It's just an insanely low drop rate, okay? So if you ever do get one, make sure you let me know in the comments that you got one, and maybe send a little screenshot across in the Discord. That'd be pretty cool. So that's how you actually farm the item, so you can get it yourself. But there's actually probably a better way to get it, and it's actually, in my opinion, I think a little bit more likely you're going to find it this way. And that's simply just checking your guild traders, alright? So I've made a lot of videos about just flipping guild traders. This will be a particular item I'd be looking out for all the time. So if you had a list of high value items you were going to look for, I would look for this one or add this to your list. So this is worth 120 million right now, and you find it for say 90 million. That's still a pretty significant profit margin, right? But what's much more likely is that someone who's been farming Vardenfell, maybe they're kind of a new player, they don't know what price this item is. You know, all the console players don't have price checkers built in, and a lot of PC players also probably don't have the add-ons downloaded. So a pretty significant chance that these guys are going to potentially farm the item by accident, throw in a guild trader and not know what it's worth, and you could be there to pick it up. So I'd always recommend having that in the rotation there. Also, again, I said this in like every single video, but if you guys do happen to get this item, make sure you join like a Mournhold trading guild, one of the really high-end trading guilds, just to get this sold, because there's no point in having such a substantial, awesome item and then putting it in the worst guild trader known to man, because it will not sell. And if you enjoy hunting for really rare items like this one, you might enjoy this video where I show you guys how you can hunt for some alien furnishing plants that are worth over 20 million coins each.